off. Or at least silence them. I'm gonna silence mine. Okay. John's ready. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is February 21st, 2024. It's a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board, and we're going to stand and say the pledge. It's 5:31 p.m.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Sure, I don't end up outside.
Yeah, that's pretty slippery. Okay, roll call, Randy, please.
Okay, just fair warning, tonight at 6 o'clock, I have to step out for about 20 minutes and I'll be back, because I got early voting here and I got to shut those polls down at 6 o'clock. And it's been about 15 to 20 minutes to do that. So I will step out and come back, so just so everyone's aware of that. So Trustee Winslow.
Present.
Trustee Kidda.
Here.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Treasurer Johnson.
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas and our attorney Roger Zappa. Superintendent of Public Works Lenny Bodinas is on Zoom, and our planner zoning administrator Jason McCarthy is on Zoom, and our fire chief Dan Shanahan is in the present. And committee members present, we have Paul Marin for the Township Advisory Committee here tonight.
Great, thank you. Any emails from the public?
Nope.
Okay. Any public want to speak before we get started with the meeting? Okay, everybody's here for a purpose. So we need approval tonight of the consent agenda, which consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of February 7th, 2024. We have bills payable, the amount of $183,136.92. We have the January Sheriff's Department Activity Report. We have an abbreviated packet from the Marquette County Solid Waste Management Authority from tonight's meeting. You will get an update on that shortly. And I put the E-Cities report in from the University of Michigan Dearborn that I thought was kind of interesting. We also have January's financial statements.
Move to accept the consent agenda.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We just need approval of the remainder.
I'll move to accept the regular agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, let's start with the library report. Welcome, Paul.
Good evening, Paul Marin, Township Advisory Council. Library Board met last night, and I was there, and it was a relatively uneventful meeting. I don't have much to report. As you know, there's a report by one of the department heads at every meeting for the trustees of the library. Last night it was the communications coordinator who ran us through the new website. There's a pretty slick new website if you haven't checked it out for the library, and she's in charge of that. She's in charge of the monthly PSAs if they send something out saying there'll be this program or that program, and she's also in charge of social media. Now that's something that doesn't affect me too much, but she said the Facebook hits or whatever they're called were up 21% over a year ago, and the Instagram is up 178% over a year ago. So she thinks that shows that young people are interested in seeing what's going on at the library. The bills were approved, $151,000. 110 of that was wages. And the main item talked about by the board was the Front Street steps, because the limestone is really deteriorating on the section of the lower section by the sidewalk. The upper section right by the library is pretty good, and so the library board was looking at, should we just put grass there and have those steps taken out of play? It would be significantly cheaper, but they did a kind of a survey of library users and library staff, and everybody, almost everybody said it's iconic. Those are iconic steps. And so as luck would have it, or I guess not luck for the person who died, but a donor died saying, I'm going to leave a significant amount of money to the library for historic preservation. So the dovetail of the need to replace these steps, and that worked out pretty well for the library, so they voted that they would go ahead and do that. But they're going to close off the lower steps in the winter, so no salt goes on that limestone. And, I worked in Old City Hall for many years, and the front of that was always closed off in the winter. Not for the steps, but the ice that would fall on people's heads if they tried to go out that door in the winter. So they're going to do that. They should last a lot longer. They have to keep the steps right by the library open. It's an egress, a safety egress, but they're just going to keep like 1/3 of that shovel every year. It'll save on maintenance, it'll save on salt, it'll save on the limestone. So there's more than you wanted to know about the steps at the library, but I condensed a half-hour discussion into a much shorter period of time for you. So thank you for allowing us to come as we do. And question?
Yeah, when they close those steps off, will they somehow cover those ones, seal it so the salt can't get up on the snow and then still melt down through there?
Presumably, they also have some kind of salt that is limestone friendly that has not always been available. And
By
so,
the city or by the library?
At the library is going to get that.
I mean, if they're salting that hill,
Yeah,
Front Street Hill, foot traffic's still gonna bring, some salt up there. I'm just wondering if there's another precaution that they can also take if they're gonna close it off to cover them somehow, so it can't get that road salt on there.
well, people are going to have to walk a further distance from the city sidewalk in the winter because they're going to have to go right to the corner of Front and Ridge where there is a sidewalk that leads to the upper steps at the library. So they'll have a much longer time to get that salt off their shoes. And, I think the library was smart when we did one of the renovations, we put in that heated sidewalk at the parking lot area, which is the door most people use. So there's no need for salting that. There's no need for salt to come in directly because of that heated sidewalk. So
That's cement. Or
yeah, it is.
yeah.
You can't have heated limestone sidewalks. Yeah. So just like the township, there's always something that has to be done, like our own houses.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, you'll see Tom or me here probably on the 20th of March because the next library board meeting is March 19th.
We'll
So,
have Andrea too on the 6th, I think, March 6th.
Andrea, yeah.
oh, well then maybe Tom and I will both make a special appearance as her henchmen. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate you coming.
You can stay around.
You're always so kind.
Got things to do.
I know.
We have a candidate that wanted to come and speak with us. Carl Bonak's here to, as a candidate for the Republican 109th District. Thanks for coming. Glad you asked.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm Carl Bonak, 413 Croy Street in Negaunee. And if you have a television and you were here in the area between April 25th, 1988 and September the 14th, 2021, you might have seen me standing in front of a weather map with cold fronts, warm fronts, highs and lows. I had a great career, and I have to say that I'm blessed. I had a chance as a kid, I had a dream to be a weatherman, and that dream came true. And to top it off, I had the opportunity to forecast in one of the most challenging areas in the country, and also one of the most beautiful locations. I love the Upper Peninsula. I love its land, its lakes, its people, and most of all, its history. The feats of the early pioneers are the stuff of legends. For instance, there was a lad who ran away from home in Green Bay in 1845 at the age of 15. His name was Peter White, and he had a dream to get up to the Copperlands. He never made it there, but in 1848, there was a gentleman, an explorer, a Scotsman named Robert Gray Verret, who came to Mackinac Island, where Peter White was working as a clerk at some business. And he said he was going up to the Iron Mountains. So they went to a little settlement right on the shore of Lake Superior, basically a fur trading post. And Peter White never left. He was 18 years old at the time, and he spent the rest of his life in that little fur trading post that became the city of Marquette. And in the November of 1856, he was elected as a state representative for the Upper Peninsula. Then, in the winter of 1857, he headed south to Lansing. The first leg of his journey he did on snowshoes from Marquette to Escanaba. Then he took a stagecoach from Escanaba down to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and from there, on foot, he traveled through the rest of Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, around the south end of Lake Michigan, and then northeastward to the state capital in Lansing. He completed this 15-day journey in what was termed at the time the severest winter ever known on the upper Midwest frontier. When he took his seat at the first legislative meeting, he got a rousing ovation from the entire assembly. So his tradition has continued all these years as state representative, but now there's multiple state representatives, and the journey south to Lansing takes mere hours instead of days. Traveling is much easier. However, advocating for Upper Michigan's interests can still be quite a challenge. Often, it seems that the UP is an afterthought when it comes to the politicians and bureaucrats in Lansing. That's why the Upper Peninsula representatives have traditionally gathered the wagons, circled the wagons, and worked together to advocate for the UP. Party affiliation didn't matter. What mattered were the interests of the Upper Peninsula and its residents. It's always been peninsula over party. However, that changed this last legislative session. Our current state representative has consistently fallen in line and voted not for our interests, but for the interest of radical ideologues in Lansing. If you go to the store, if you go to the gas pump, you know that inflation is still running rampant. And our power rates remain above the long-term average. So what we need to do is look for ways to lower costs for families and find ways to best support our communities. Meanwhile, our current state representative was the deciding vote on energy legislation that will strip us of local control, cause our power rates to spike, and send millions of our tax dollars to large corporations that will be putting up renewable energy projects all over Upper Michigan and all over the state for that matter. I want us to keep control. I want our local communities to have a say in our local land use. I want to provide an environment where all residents and businesses of the Upper Peninsula can flourish. And most of all, I want to maintain our precious freedom and independence that we so value here in Upper Michigan. If you share these concerns and aspirations, I humbly ask for your support and your vote to be the next representative of the 109th District. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, fire department, please.
Good evening. It's been a couple months, I guess, since I've been up here. And I didn't get the report in the packet. We were having some software issues, and I didn't get it in on time. I do apologize for that. And I'll just be brief on a couple. I'll hit a few highlights that some training. Not all members, but most members have got their CPR completed for the next 2 years. We also did have a member of the CISM team, Critical Incident Stress Management. They come in and she talked about resources that we can use if needed, if we're having issues. And a lot of it's at no cost for first responders, And it's a great event. They did hold a big fundraiser up in Negaunee, and I guess the doors are open at 5. I guess at 5:05 you couldn't get in, which was great to hear. The membership also did donate a gift basket for raffling for a fundraiser. Because like I said, a lot of these, this counseling and stuff like that they'll send them to, they try and do it at no cost for the first responder. So it's a great organization. Getting back to some some training, all EMS for the first time ever is required to do proficiencies, a state proficiency exam. We've always done a county one, or a Marquette Alger County protocol test. This is the first time the state is requiring that. I have not taken it yet, but I hear it's about a 5 to 6 hour exam. Emergency responses. November and December were pretty much a little unusual. Only 50% were medical. The rest were, if you will, fire-related calls. But in January, 98% medical. First time ever. We had very few fire calls in January. Our run numbers were up in January compared to last year, like 50 to 34. But yeah, interesting.
Some of those were at the same time, too, within a few minutes of each other.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing both ambulances.
Right, we've done, yes, yep. Yeah, that was an interesting one. When the software was working, I could pull up a few of those items like that. We did respond to 3 structure fires, actually, they're all in Marquette City. That's a mutual aid, auto aid, I should say. Quite a few over the last couple months, though. Maybe the deputy can reiterate or something, but we did have 10, which is a little unusual since the roundabouts. We did have 10 over the last couple months, 10 motor vehicle accidents with injuries, which is it's pretty high. We were, before the roundabouts, running quite a few, but very few anymore. But over the last couple months, that's quite a bit for us. We did get 70 smoke detectors installed in residents' homes this past month. And maybe on my report, you'll see every once in a while I'll put in there underneath reports in the very last item, EMS cost data for Medicare and Medicaid. That's been a year-long process. We're 90% complete, and that should be done hopefully within a month. It's to keep your Medicaid and Medicare license going, and so we will get paid. Grants, the only thing, the AFG we will be applying for pretty soon. Not 100%, we have a good idea what we want to apply for, but on Monday we'll confirm that with the members and we move on. And if you remember about 6 months ago, I brought up briefly MABUS, Mutual Aid Box Alarm System. And it's been brought up at the county firefighters meetings the last 3 meetings, well, I guess it'd be 6 months. We have a meeting every other month. And quite a few of the county fire departments are signing on. And it's something I believe we should, I believe everybody in the Marquette County will. And I believe we should too. The officers have read it. I mean, we're gonna go over that again Monday. I did give the agreement to John today, the manager, Kangas, to read over or to look at. And I'm sure Roger probably doesn't want to hear it, but but it's short. It's not as long as some of the other, and not too many whereas, therefores, or whatever the attorneys say. It seems a little bit easier reading than maybe some of the other things. But we do think it's a good program. And it doesn't say we're never required to respond if another township in the county asks for us because of this agreement. If we can't respond, we don't have the personnel, the equipment, whatever, it's not like you have to respond. Even if we do have everything, you're never, ever asked to give more than 20% of your resources that you have. Meaning, like, just say you have 10 members on your department that are at the station, we would never send more than 2 people. So we never want to deplete. And it's becoming bigger and bigger throughout the state. The UP is a little bit slow in taking this on. But I do believe it's a good program, and I think it'll be coming for signature at some time after the attorney reads it or approves of it.
Is there a deadline for us to do that?
There's not. You can join at any time. I would like, and I believe within a month or so. I'm looking at Rod, sorry, Roger, but you know.
You already
yeah,
gave him stuff today.
I know, because it's something I'm sure he's gonna have to read or approve. I'd like to get in with the whole group in the county, and a few people have already gotten in and had signatures. And I'd just like to get in with that group. We can, at any time we can, though. It's not imperative that we all go together.
So is there a cost for that?
Though there's no cost.
So there's no cost, it's like a mutual aid kind of
It's
agreement?
exactly what it is, and I'm not, there's auto aid, which helps with your ISO rating. That's huge. Auto aid. Then there's mutual aid, which is MABUS is mutual aid. And it doesn't do anything for your ISO rating, but if you have a larger incident, or even, doesn't necessarily have to be a larger incident, with recruitment and retention at an all-time low for firefighters right now, I think mutual aid is very important to have, and that's what this is. There's no cost. And all it is, you know, dotting the i's and crossing the t's and making sure that, don't quote me on this. Maybe Roger will want to say more after he reads it, but if we were there to if we damage something in somebody where we don't have even a mutual aid agreement, XYZ Township in the county or Menominee County asks us to come down and assist them with a fire, and we damaged something without that mutual aid agreement, if I'm talking too much, you know, you need a mutual aid agreement to just, everybody's good. So it's more of a lawyer thing on the mutual aid, but I think it's a good thing. And like I said, the officers are reviewing it, and I think some of them have already seen it and looked at it, but I think the county's on board, and more counties in the UP are going that route. And you do get the fit for large incidents over so many hours. The state will help also, like we were reimbursed when we went down to Menominee. You know, for larger incidents, the state will jump in and help bail you out if you're a part of this MABUS group. I'm not sure how we weren't part of MABUS before, but we were still reimbursed for Menominee.
Definitely a good thing.
I think so, I really do. And believe it, I'll be the first one to admit, and when it was first proposed, I was a little hesitant.
I'm
But
very
it
happy
seems like a
to,
win-win.
I'm very happy to see it moving in that direction.
Yeah,
It took
I
so
know.
many years,
Yeah, you're
so
right.
many years
I
to
know.
get it to go.
Yep, it did. UP was very, very slow. And only a few downstate, even northern Michigan, very slow. But like your Detroits, Lansing, Flints, Grand Rapids, you know, they all have this for the region. You get a big incident, you need that help, you know? And like, you don't have to. That was the thing.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah, you don't, you know, if you can, great. If you can't, you can't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we might have a fire truck too this summer?
Well, I'm hoping, yeah, I was told May, I'm hoping it's this summer, June or July.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have to go down at some point and do an inspection, hopefully. Hopefully that's in May, and then from what I understand, those inspections don't go 100%. Usually they'll say, we'll come back in a couple of weeks, we'll fix or repair or get it how you want it, type of thing. So I'm hoping June,
Okay.
hoping.
They just make up a punch list like if you, and then,
That's
yeah,
exactly what we do.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Any questions for the fire chief? Okay,
Okay.
thanks for coming down.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Okay, Public Works, Mr. Glenny.
Hello, everyone. To start with here for this month, wastewater. We had another grinder repair on Center Street. The fitting right at the tank was cracked. We were able to replace the fitting and get it back up working. It's kind of similar to the break that we've had on the last few grinder pumps, and we're not really sure if it was with the kind of the freeze-thaw cycle with the weird weather we've been having. But it's been cracking right at the tank. But we've been able to get it fixed, and we're back up and running. We've also been doing some routine manhole and sewer pit inspections. We were able to, we tried to clean the sewer meter. It's like a weir in there. We try to clean that once a week to keep it good and clean. And we've also been doing routine grinder replacements and repairs as they happen. We did have a water leak on Norwood Street. A customer had called and said that they heard a hissing sound in the basement, and we went over there to investigate. And we were confused for a little bit. We couldn't really figure it out, but then we finally figured out it was the corp on the opposite side of the street. It was really weird because when we would turn the valve off inside the house, the hissing kind of would go away, and we kind of determined that the sound was actually coming through the water, not like the metal on the pipe. So it was one of those weird things that we never really kind of seen before, but we were able to narrow it down to the corp. We got it dug up, we got the corp replaced, and that's back in service. We've also been doing some routine well house duties, chemical deliveries, injector replacements. We also had a chemical tank replacement out there. It's just a chlorine day tank. I think it's like a 30-gallon tank, but they kind of wear out. Sometimes from the pulsating of the pump kind of moves the tank around, and it kind of wears a hole into the bottom. So we were able to get that replaced. Actually, I think he did that. He worked on it, and then he had to do some more work on it today, but it's up and running again. We've also been working with Fishbeck to come up with a plan for the potential upgrades to Cox Pump House. So they did give us a proposal that I will be putting on the agenda for the next meeting, but it's going to be basically to build a hydraulic model for the township and to retrofit the Cox Pump House, all the pumps. If we decide to go that route, we're going to start using that again to pump water. I also did talk to him. I was going to see if we could maybe throw Northwoods on that as well to get all the pumps retrofitted there to modern specs. I will be putting that again for your consideration at the next meeting. For building and grounds, staff has been busy doing routine cleaning, and when we did have snow, when we had that little blurb of snow last week, they were busy cleaning everything up. It's been kind of a slow winter for them, not too much snow to plow, and with the ice rink only basically lasting a week and a half, it was a fun week and a half, but it was kind of short and fast. Everything is gone over there, of course, especially after today. It was actually gone right with that first warm spell, so it really used it up pretty quick. But in about the week and a half that we did have it up and running, people really did enjoy it, and it was used quite heavily. And we also have had a staff member complete the online turf management class, so hopefully when the spring or real spring gets here, when the real nice weather gets here and the grass starts growing, we'll be able to kind of keep up on that and maintain it. She did get some good education on that, how to upkeep it with fertilization, all that kind of stuff. So we're really excited about that. And that's all I have.
Short and sweet. Any questions for Lenny? Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you joining us.
And thanks. Yep.
Okay, Jason, I don't know how to get you on the screen. Maybe if you just talk, it'll pop up.
Hello.
There you go. Ta-da.
It's like magic.
Yeah.
So tonight's meeting, I wanted to report that this year is a master plan update year. So we're in the process of ramping up, getting the distribution letter out there, letting people know that we're going to be beginning our master plan update. I did receive some good news today in that we received a grant from MISTA, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, for $50,000. And I learned today that that grant can be used to hire a consultant to help us with our master plan update. I believe this is my 13th year, and this will be my third master plan update. As you know, the state requires us to update that every 5 years. This would be the first year, I believe, or the first time that we've had a bona fide consultant help us out. So in the next following days here, I'll be putting together a request for proposals, and I'll be sending that out statewide. I received a great list of potential consultants from MISTA today, ones that specify in housing reform and housing adjustments. So really exciting news, actually, from my desk, just because we'll have some assistance this year. I suspect we'll be doing a survey. I kind of prompted the rec committee last night, letting them know that, to get some questions together. So I'll be continuing to update you on that as that continues to progress. Next week on Wednesday, as you know, we have our joint meeting with the Planning Commission at 5:30. That's Wednesday the 28th. The Planning Commission has been taking on discussion on short-term rentals and how to, if we do, adjust the zoning on those. So we have, I would say, right around 30 that are approved in the community, which really isn't a high number, but we continue to see applications. So the Planning Commission has reviewed some materials. We'll provide them with some more at our next week's meeting, but basically just detailing some of the other ways that we learned at our Michigan Township Association, or I'm sorry, our Michigan Association of Planning Conference last year, whether it's proximity and limiting them that way or just limiting the overall number. There was a new House bill that was introduced recently on short-term rentals. Again, taking away local authority. I don't believe that's made it out of committee yet, but I'll keep you apprised of that if there's any movement there. We did receive a zoning text amendment application and a zoning map application. A zoning map amendment application. So Mr. Taylor has property on the northwest corner of the Meyer driveway and Brickyard Road. So we'll be entertaining that on the 13th of March at 7 p.m. as a public hearing. And then the zoning text amendment probably won't occur until April 10th. Just because of the timing of the application and getting it in the Planning Commission's hands. And we did receive one additional short-term rental application, which we'll be administering at an upcoming Planning Commission meeting. So things are starting to ramp up a little bit. I'm going to keep it kind of short and sweet tonight. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. But super excited about the opportunity to work with MISTA and to have that. I mean, $50,000 is a lot of money to update your a master plan, and it could even lead into some zoning ordinance work as well. So pretty excited about that, and to have some professionals come in and assist us with this.
Congratulations on that, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for the good news.
Yeah. Any questions for Jace? Okay, thanks, sir. We'll let you go.
All right, have a good night, guys.
You too. Mr. Zappa, you're next.
Well, we've had a number of things that have crossed my desk in the last month since I reported to you last. I had mentioned, I think at the last report, that we had requested some revisions for the ALS, the Advanced Life Support Intercept Agreement. And we're still waiting for the revised one. We haven't received anything on that one yet, so we're still operating under the old one. I reviewed the Brightly Master Agreement that's coming up later on your agenda. The primary issue on that, or the primary question on that, is the indemnity language in it compliant with Michigan law? And my conclusion was it essentially is, because it has a number of exceptions, including one if we're a governmental unit, which we obviously are, then that paragraph doesn't apply at all, essentially. So I spent a fair amount of time. I got a big stack of documents from the Endo International LLC bankruptcy here at the last meeting, and took a review on that because they were soliciting a vote on approval of the bankruptcy plan. And what that is if you follow in the media at all, there have been a number of suits against pharmaceutical companies for opioid issues, addictions, excess treatment, the expenses that people are put to, in addition to the private claims by persons and families. The state of Michigan is one of about 40 states that has put in their own claim. And the key thing to look at, and then once you get the packet, there's about 800 more pages online to look at, without exaggeration. And the short version of this is that we can participate as a township in any distribution that the state of Michigan might make under the state's claim without anything we do as a potential claimant affecting that. So the short version is there didn't seem to be any real benefit to taking the time to submitting a ballot on this. And this is only one of at least half a dozen pharmaceutical claims that's out there. And it is putting many of the pharmaceutical entities into bankruptcy, as is Endo. It has to be approved both by a bankruptcy court in the United States and also by a court in Ireland, which is the equivalent of the Supreme Court in Ireland. And then, if you read more of the small print in the 800 pages, if enough people approve it, it will be binding on us regardless of what we do, how we were to vote on that. And furthermore, if the court looks at it and determines it's in the best interest to approve the plan, it can be binding on us regardless of whether we vote or not. So that was the bottom line determination, but it was fairly time consuming to reach that conclusion. And then had a question regarding election inspector duties, compensation, and potential conflicts of interest that I dealt with. We've got an ongoing appeal. We had a ZBA appeal. We today received the documentation that has been appealed to the next level, which is Marquette County Circuit Court. So that will be an ongoing topic of discussion and work. There was a question on a lien waiver that came from a contractor on one of the construction projects that's ongoing here in the township, and the general consensus on that was that all we really need to do is sign a receipt indicating that our bill in issuing a permit for using the landfill has been paid in full. And there was a question just today on the fire department policy issue. And then I also did review the finance director contract that was before the board at the last meeting, and there will be some follow-up on that with some recommendations. And I'm probably overlooking something, but those were the ones as I was jotting notes down that came to mind.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, community linkage, sorry. I'm making too many notes here. Got to tell you about the solid waste meeting that just happened, because I was so inflamed. I was just shaking. I was so upset. They have, I want to get it right here. The auditor showed up. He was on the agenda. They have a $278,000 unrestricted deficit. And they've used $430,000 of restricted monies for daily operations. I wouldn't want an audit like that. That took quite a bit of time. They also had two items, you saw it in the packet, in the consent agenda. A letter of intent for Northwest Natural Renewables, which has to do with their gas extraction and maybe some electric that they can extract too. And they had bond issue on there. why those two action items that needed to be discussed would be on a consent agenda, I have no idea. And I told him that at the end of the meeting. I said, they shouldn't have been on there. The attorney talked about the bond issue forever. It's, brought it to you before, it's the $7 million they're trying to put together to do this, waste building facility, waste retrieval that'll help get rid of the PFAS too. So the government, the state's putting in 4 million of it, I think, and they've got to do 2 point something. So in order to do this with Eagle, excuse me, they have to consolidate the 5 loans that they have right now. And part of the problem now with doing that ended up today because of the audit, is that may not happen. But they're supposed to start the end of September. So they're just upside down. I don't understand how they think. The Negaunee Township supervisor is usually in the audience, and I'm usually on Zoom. I had the devil of a time trying to hear what they were saying in the first place. They still haven't done anything about it. So during public comment, I said, you know, I was going to tell you needed to get $100 or $200 put together and get a sound system in here so people can actually hear what you're talking about. A couple meetings ago, there was a lady that popped on, and you could tell she was just looking at her screen and trying to figure out, and she texted through the chat to me and said, can you understand them? And I said, no, I never can. A meeting before that, there was a gentleman on. I'm assuming it's a gentleman. I can't say because the screen was black and all you saw was the phone number. And he said, what the heck are they talking about? I can't understand it. 2 separate meetings, 2 separate people, as far as I know. So I told him that today. I said, nobody can understand you.
They probably like it that way.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking so. So anyway, I said, in light of your financial problems, I hate to ask you to do something with, microphone system. They're using the attorney's computer as the microphone on the end of the table, so you can't understand what I can never hear Dave Campana hardly. Karen Kovacs got up and spoke during the meeting. During public comment, actually, in the beginning, I think it was. Or no, during the bond. Anyway, I couldn't really understand her, but she talked about some of the stuff that's in the packet. You saw some of those emails going back and forth and the problem they're having. She was very gracious. She wasn't upset. I was more upset when I talked to them than she was. And she tried to explain to them if she had more time, or they did, they'd be able to help work through this. And I said the same thing at the end. I said, I know you guys are struggling with trying to get this stuff done, but we're part of the decision. And what you're going to do is going to raise the tipping fees, and we have no input. You're not telling us the discussions. I said, you had a great meeting or a great conversation with the attorney about the bond tonight. Who else in the county knows anything about that but maybe me and Gary Woolmer from Negaunee Township and whoever else might be in the audience? So they just, thank you.
So what's Marquette Township's role in that facility? What is it that we can do? What can we do?
I think we can influence them to the point of at least, which is why I feel the need to be there to voice our opinion, because it affects our residents. Every time they have these faux pas with their finances, we get a tipping fee increase. So we need to tell them, we need to have that conversation.
But legally, there's nothing we can do.
Not individually, no, that's true.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't, if this feels like the Board of Light and Power group to me sometimes. Do you know, we don't have any representative on that group either.
Right.
And our fees get raised based on that board. Is that, so you're there listening, but we as a township have nothing to do.
The fact, I think.
That's my question.
No, I understand what you're saying, but the
Yeah.
fact, I think that Gary and I both spoke against that mattress fee, $20 or $25 that they were gonna impose. They dropped it.
But then they had no real solution or
Right.
no rationale as to why to do that.
Right. Yes.
So-
But they're so impulsive, they're so unorganized, and so, their thought process is so different. Somebody needs to be waking them up.
Well, they have leadership. Well, I mean,
Have you ever
but,
been to one of their meetings?
well, no, no, because I don't feel I have any input into that. I mean,
Individually, no.
You're right.
Yes.
And even as a township, we don't really we can go there and say what we think, but we don't really carry weight.
But we're-
Thank you very
we're part-
much.
Yes, individually, but we're part of 22,
I know
21
that.
other,
Yeah, so it's the laws governing it, or the rules that made up how it works. We don't have a vote.
no, because they're an authority, they can do what they want.
So so authorities run differently,
They run like the city.
but people that are listening to this have no idea what any of that means.
Yeah.
So really collectively, as a township board, we don't have anything. Individually, we can all go and speak our piece. Which is why we always should be encouraging people who are unhappy with tipping fees and increases, they need to become the audience at their board meetings.
Yeah. It's an open meeting, yeah.
But you can't go online and hear them.
It's very difficult. It's very muffled. You get like every second.
Well,
or third
even
word.
ours is sometimes not good. I know the microphones are picking us up wherever we're sitting, whatever we're whispering. So, they have a more archaic system. Ours is newer. But yeah, I feel like, what can we as a township do? Nothing, but we can do something individually.
Well, we can if our board or Negaunee Township or the city or Republic or Sands Township all had the same issues, if we were all talking about the same thing, we're supposed to bring them to the County Township Association. And that group has a little more authority, not authority, I would say pull, maybe, because they've constantly got, Randy yells there all the time, the chair from the solid waste. And they're constantly badgering him with stuff, and do this and don't do that. So he has semi-collective input, if you want to say that. And if all 19 of the townships felt the same way, then we would have.
So then
So
you,
it's got to start somewhere.
the Township Association maybe needs to take this issue up and gather people.
Yes. and
Okay,
Gary
all right.
and I are going to talk about
I got it now.
next meeting.
It's a long road, Lynn.
It is.
And-
But I
and-
think if they don't have somebody questioning what they're doing, we would have had another fee. It would have been, what, we would have had two fees. We would have had the $25 thing with the mattresses, and we would have had, what did he start out with, 50 cents? Or he would have had $1, and then he went down to 50 cents?
But there's no rationale for what they're saying. And
There's no solution.
yeah, we would have had mattresses in our woods. That's what we would have had. So anyways, I'm done.
What it was is it was $20 for the mattress and $20 for the box spring.
Well, we've been around a long
I sent an
time.
email to 'em, told them what I thought too.
We-
But when you come down to it, they didn't like what was happening. So the chairman says, well, we'll just put $1
Right.
on the tipping fee. Well, that was too much. Oh, let's make it 50 cents.
But
No
see-
rationale, no nothing at all. Unbelievable.
So
And
Now
that,
with these deficits.
so that must be, they don't need to bring this to anyone to do stuff. Well, that's your authority issue then. So we can't solve it here though.
No,
But-
but they need to be aware.
Yeah, okay.
My people, my township, our township needs to be aware. And if they don't want to do anything, or we don't want to do anything, that's fine.
So they need
It's
to
about
come to us.
education.
Sounds like a great survey question when we send out that survey on the master plan that Jason's talking about.
I don't know if that has anything to do with our master plan, though.
Well, I don't know that.
I don't even-
Maybe we'll look at that. Where we're
follow up
sending
on
our
that.
stuff.
You're talking about the PFAS? That they have to do. The cost to us is gonna be between $10 and $15 a month, somewhere in that vicinity. If you remember what the governor wanted to do that with the solid waste and that, the new, whatever you wanna call it, to stop the solid waste coming from outside the state. $5 a ton. You look at that, that's gonna almost equal to $15 more a month. So we're paying $15, so what's that mean? You're talking about $45 a month if this all comes through. This is what we're facing here, and we have very little input to do any of this.
But it only takes one voice to get that ball rolling. And whether it's, you know, Linda or us collectively or our public to come and say, enough is enough.
And all the township supervisors get together and collectively put their foot down and say, this is how we feel.
Yeah, I tried to put together, the supervisors or managers get together every month, but loosely. And I tried to put one together for this month, but nobody was responding. I think they were just too busy, too many other things going on. And that's about a dozen of us, so, you know. We're gonna hit the county. Harry and I will talk to the county next meeting. Y'all are invited, it's an open meeting. It doesn't have to be just supervisors. Usually Ernie's there. A lot of supervisors, but it doesn't have to be. So I had to tell you all that. It was just too ridiculous.
I move on.
Yeah. They're supposed to have a meeting tomorrow with Miller Canfield about consolidating these 5 loans into one. So I don't know where that's gonna go either. Then briefly, just quickly. Jason mentioned tonight the joint meeting next week. Want to make sure it's on your calendars for the 28th at 5:30 here. We'll do some kind of sandwiches or something so that the planning commission can go right into their meeting at 7. And I'll put an agenda together for that.
That's on the 6th of March.
No, next Wednesday.
28th
28th.
at 6 PM?
Yes. No, 5:30.
5:30.
Because their meeting's at 7.
Okay.
So we want to make sure they have enough time. So Wednesday, the 28th at 5:30, the Joint Planning Commission. And then, just as a follow-up, March 6th is the Land Bank meeting that we're having with Andrew and Jeff Hawkins. That's a work session on March 6th at 4.
Right, okay.
Okay. And then we have another work session, March 18th, at 1 o'clock, on policies, which is why I asked that question of Roger today, so we'll figure that out.
That's the 14th?
18th
18th. Okay, yeah.
at 1 o'clock. And then, not a meeting, but our safety forum is March 28th this year. We had the first one last year, we're all set for the second one, our second annual. That's gonna be, you'll see that in the utility billing. I think Andrew's gonna put something on the back of the calendar. That's at 6 o'clock. So we'll have the fire department here. We'll have, Rob's coming to talk about, CRPR, thank you. Couldn't figure out the acronym, couldn't remember, thank you. We've got Offset coming, Tim's coming, he's gonna do some videos and stuff, which is very telling, if you didn't come last year. And who else have I got? The sheriff will be there, too, to do a report. So we had some fire videos last year, it was pretty interesting. So I want to remind you of all that. And then you might be aware, last thing, Axe My Tax is going around trying to get some some signatures to get on the ballot to eliminate property tax in the state. And I asked Dulcie today, or yesterday, I forget, if we could have her come in and explain what that means, how that would work.
Where do I sign up for that?
Well, wait and see what happens to this board, or if any of us have a job, because we won't have any money to spend. Fire, police, and I think what was the third thing that they said would be covered?
Well, we don't have dark stores anymore, so I think we're gonna
Take it all away.
have to stick with property tax.
So we're gonna try to put something together to make sure the public understands what that is, if it does get to the ballot. People will be voting on it, and we just want to make sure they're educated on how property taxes work from that perspective.
Boy, that's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah.
They aren't doing real well from what I read on Bridge today. They have to have well over 300,000 signatures, 360 I think or something, and they've got like 25 so far, 25,000. So their math, they must have the same accountant as the authority. Their math doesn't work because there's not enough money to make up the 18 million that they need to.
Goes along with free education, right?
Yeah, let's just give it away, right?
Well, you're knocking out free education because there's gonna be no money.
Well, could still have it.
Okay, anything else anybody wants to share?
That's enough.
All right, let's talk about priority goals briefly, because we know what they are. They're on the board over to your right. There are a few things that we can take off. Son of a gun, yes, I did print it. And a few things we can put on. If you want to go with this, I will change our board. If you want to talk about it some other day, that's fine too. Fire department, ambulance and fire truck, we don't have them yet, but we could take them off the list because we've pretty much accomplished them. We need to continue to mention to people to put their address numbers on their house so that all public service people can make sure they see you. It's a good thing to do in the spring and summer when you're doing your yard work, put it on the house, because the mailbox is not enough.
What can we do to,
We just have to keep educating. We'll put it back on the back of the calendar too. Although,
I just today, I was looking for an address, and I went up and down Werner Street, and I think there was one address for 3 blocks. And nobody else had their address on their house, trying to find out, then you gotta start guessing, okay, well, there's how many numbers between, the whole thing was a mess.
so we'll just have to keep educating. Put your address on your home and business, please. Let's see, I kinda jumped ahead, but I knew that the ambulance and fire truck were.
So Lynn, can we do a work session to create the priority goals for
That's what I'm asking.
2024?
Yeah.
Do you need a motion for that, or just a
If you
rec?
wanna do that.
Oh, I do, because I think it's time to, annually, we should be updating
We
this.
should, yeah.
So I'll
Support
make
that
a
motion.
motion
That's why I'm
that
bringing
we,
it up.
yeah,
Support it.
yeah, and maybe we'll get
It's
some
gonna take some
public.
discussion.
Yeah, I don't, if we gave away free numbers, they might put them on their house.
That's an idea.
It is.
Should we pull our calendars? You wanna set it now?
Well, you already have a bunch of meetings.
Yeah,
Or do you just want to put it on the next agenda?
yeah, to set it for April maybe?
That'll be,
Well, can we include it with something? Can we include it with policies? It's just.
I don't know how long policies is gonna be yet till I hear from Roger.
Well, sometimes it's better if you limit it to an hour, and then if we're not done in an hour, then we do another schedule, because your brain is fried after about an hour. Policies are long, could be long. Or we just, it's not a big hurry, so we could do it in April.
Well, we'll add it to the next agenda then, and you guys can think about how you wanna do it. Okay.
Dan and I are giving away free numbers.
Okay, good deal. That's what I was looking for, was some direction, how you wanted to do it. So we'll add it to the next agenda. Okay, then let's talk about Brightly.
No,
we've got a motion. and a
Oh,
second.
yes, pardon me, you did make a motion.
But I don't have a second.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah,
Oh.
Dan did.
Well, there you go. Finish her up.
All in favor?
What is the motion?
To just put it on the next agenda.
Yeah, schedule a work session, next agenda.
I thought she was gonna wanna pick a date, and that's why I thought that we didn't have a motion. Okay, now we can do Brightly software. That's gonna be John? Oh, Lenny's still on, okay, good.
No. So this is gonna kind of go towards one of your 2023 priority goals here. So this is basically an asset management program that we've been looking at. So it's gonna get us started with asset management. I kind of added everything that they're going to be doing or that we're going to be looking at in there. It's quite extensive and quite intricate, but it's going to be pretty user friendly for people in the office and the people out in the field. Eventually, it will be able to integrate with the BSNA software that we have. We're looking at that. So when that comes, it'll be able to push and pull a lot of this data back and forth. And this is going to basically be used for our water, sewer, and parks, and even facilities asset management. So it has all the components of it. We'll be able to integrate, get our GIS system integrated into that. And some of the kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? The trials or the I don't know, the trial type things that they were showing us how it would do things and stuff like that. Looks like it's going to be very useful for us and easy to use. So it does have a initial startup cost that I have on there, and then it does have a yearly cost, like a subscription cost going forward. All our data is ours, so when the stuff that we upload, it is going to be ours. It's not like if we decide after the term that we're done that it all goes away. So all the data will be ours. So this is just one of those programs we're going to need that eventually that the state is going to need or want us to have. It's a large company that will be around for a while.
Randy?
I'll make a motion to approve the Brightly Asset Management Program as presented and authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement.
Support.
Okay, any questions?
So, is this already budgeted somewhere?
Yes, well, I think, I can't remember exactly if I had it in the budget, but we were talking, I think we did have some of it in there, so it's, we're gonna have to figure out what we want to do, but we knew that this was coming, so I didn't per se have this specific program budgeted, but we did know that this was gonna be coming eventually.
So will it only be used by Public Works, or will that be spread across other departments?
It will be used for public works, for water and sewer, building and ground, so we'll end up using our parks on it and then facilities as well.
Okay.
So it will be shared across at least 3 different funds, correct? I will also say, if you don't mind me interjecting, we aren't going down the card graph route again. I don't know if you all recall, but early in my career here, we decided to do away with that software. We had invested well into the 6 figures on that software and didn't have a working product. It's going to take us a good 10 years to get there with this software, and we anticipate having a working model within a few months. So if it was Cartograph or anything even remotely close to it, I don't think I would have let Lenny get to this point with this recommendation. That's my personal opinion.
Well, that's beneficial though, John, because of your background too. So you can not only justify what he's doing, but you can help explain it too and the rationale. It's valuable. Any other questions?
This data is really going to help us going forward with everything from CIP type stuff to budgeting to planning in the long term. So it's going to give us, not only staff and administration, but the board with a lot of data to make decisions from. So it'll be a lot of good data.
When do you see, I think it was 6 months or something or 6 weeks to get it, I forget. When would you be able to have usable data, put it that way?
We actually already have a lot of usable data. It's just going to be getting it put in there. So we have a lot of usable GIS data already. We've actually already did a lot of the hard work, the field work, GPSing stuff, getting all our assets and everything down on paper and all the information. So we're going to be able to hit the ground running pretty fast on some of this. So a lot of places, they start right at the ground level. They don't have any of their assets GPS or located or anything like that. We already have a lot of that work done. So we'll be able to get moving fairly quickly here.
I would caution though, don't expect any fancy reports until we've had a chance to populate the new information for at least about, I would guess, a year.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
This takes time, but we will have it functioning fairly quickly because so much of the front end work has already been done.
So is that kind of like a data dump too then do you just incorporate your stuff to this and then you can start manipulating a little bit, or is it a process?
It's going to be a little bit of both, I guess. So the GIS data will get put in there and everything will get set up, and then the real-time data as we're working on stuff, and that's where all the new data will be coming in. So Manager Kangas, I guess maybe I was a little bit too excited about it, but we'll have a lot of data to start with, and then we'll be also getting a lot of data in there to go as we go too.
This is gonna reside in the cloud then?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, we've got a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Go for it. Okay, next up is IT switch upgrade proposal.
I have an update for you, and it is good news for once. Integris actually was able to get us some better pricing between the time when I put this item in the packet and now. So the new price went from, I just lost my page in the packet. I need my notes. It's a significant savings, and it's because they were able to go back and get the supplier to honor government pricing, which the original quote did not include. So the total price went from $20,553.21 down to $16,768.89. So each department expenditure, general fund went from $13,500 down to $8,800. That's pretty significant. Fire fund went down a little over $1,000 from $2,950 to $1,850. Water sewer went from $4,100 to $2,550. So it's a significant savings. You don't always get a better price under government funding, but in this case, we certainly did. And I would recommend that you incorporate these new numbers. So the motion, the recommended motion would be to approve the IT switch upgrade quote from Integris in the amount of $16,768.89.
How much cents?
89. I'll make that motion.
Or
Okay. Questions for Lenny or John?
How soon will this be available to you, John?
I have to sign the quote if you approve it. That would be probably, well, I could potentially sign it tonight. They will order the switches, then they have to schedule the install, and they need to schedule it when it's convenient for us, where they won't put us all out of service, because it's not just our data, it's also our phones. So, and it's all three buildings.
probably on a weekend or something, maybe.
We'll work it out, we'll keep you informed. It's probably gonna be a month or two before this will happen.
Okay.
It's a project that has to get scheduled once it's approved.
So we won't need a budget amendment then?
We will not.
Okay. So the
There's
second
some
paragraph.
potential future expenses that could cause budget amendments that we're aware of already. But this is also getting us thinking about next year's budget, knowing that a $10,000 IT budget isn't enough for us right now. It's gonna have to at least double for next year and probably be steady at 20 to 25,000 if we wanna stay on top of this stuff, because unfortunately, technology just doesn't last forever.
And it keeps changing.
And everything's getting more expensive every day. Except this quote. This was the one good piece of news for the year so far.
Right, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, one more, Lenny.
One more. So, this here is, we're just asking to authorize, to be able to send somebody to the National AWWA, conference. This is gonna be for the best tasting water in the country, contest. So we won the Michigan section, so as part of that, we're authorized to represent Michigan in the, 2024 ACE, convention. It's gonna be held in Anaheim, California. So we're just kind of basically looking for authorization, basically just to send one representative there. I did put down not to exceed 2,400. I'm actually expecting it to probably be right around 2,000 or slightly under. But I just want a little bit of leeway there if the prices change. The Michigan section is also going to provide us with a $500 stipend to either help with the conference registration or travel.
John?
I move to authorize the representative of the Marquette Township to attend the ACE 24 conference and to pay travel and lodging expenses in the amount not to exceed $2,400.
Support.
And I think this is one of the most proud things that we can point to. And I hope every brewery in the country takes a look at this is where the water can be advertised.
So we need to have more breweries in the township do that, right?
That's all we needed, more breweries.
Or import it to the city.
We'll ship the water.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be authorized to go? What kind of lottery are you gonna put together?
We kind of started, it's gonna be Chad's gonna do it, so when we started this, we figured, we all agreed that whoever brought the first sample would be the one, if for some reason we got all the way to the end, they would be the one bringing it.
Okay, I just had to bring that up.
So this is coming out of your travel and conference budget?
Yes,
Okay,
yep.
I just wanted to make sure.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now
Hey,
you
thank
can
you.
go have a beer, Lenny. All right, do we have any committee updates? Actually, I have one. I got a rec committee application from Andra. So I haven't talked to the gentleman yet, but I'll keep you informed when
They
I.
did meet last night. Dan was there, so.
Yeah. Anything to share?
Hang on one second. I got it on my phone, which I'll have to turn back on. Go ahead, Ernie, you do yours first then.
I was at the Township Business Association meeting, and discussion came up about our August community days. And he was looking for a letter from Linda that she said she's gonna send him or something like this here.
I am.
Okay, so that's what he's looking for right now, so they can do their planning for the August community days and that, so. Other than that, they seem to be positive on it. It's just that they have to get something in writing, so they
Yep.
can move forward on their portion of it.
It's on my agenda to do.
And about community days, I have got a person for next year's community days to be putting on little seminars for pickleball. So they want they're gonna teach John how to play pickleball.
So are you saying for 25?
No, for
Or
20.
this year?
24.
For 2024.
Okay.
Yeah,
So are we gonna end up having to talk about refinishing the?
that's a done deal.
Oh, yeah, that's done. It's already done. It was approved.
It was authorized,
Yeah.
yes, it's in the budget, in the CIP.
Yeah, not 80,000 though.
Oh, it's not 80,000 to do
It
them?
was to redo the whole thing. We only approved the.
That was one of
It is.
the better ways to fix
Yeah,
it.
but
There's a wide spectrum of prices. The lower cost was somewhere around 25,000. And I
Correct.
believe that's.
resurface, fill in and resurface the court. Okay, it's coming. I'm slow here, but it's almost there.
So talking about the business association, they last year supported the children's games. So the money they send is to pay for the children's games.
They were just looking for communication
Right,
at this point.
I know what he's looking for, but yeah, just know that they have a banner that we made, a sign that went on it. And so the items we buy for the children's games are what they're supporting or paying for. So it was very nice last year.
Basically, we called the meeting to order at about 7. We had election of officers, which were the same officers as we had the year before. So then we talked about 2027 master plan and what we can do as a rec committee to have our part into that. Talked about the grant application for the trailhead, wellhead, and how it didn't go, and what we want to do in the future for possibly still doing something out there, and where we could get the funding, Lions Field pickleball project and scheduling, and basically our 2024 meeting schedule. And that was about it.
Okay. You didn't make any changes to your meeting schedule?
No, it's what is presented. Yeah, we didn't change it at all.
Okay. Good, glad to have that update. And we lost our public, unless the deputy wants to say something.
Come on, Mike.
I'm all good. Listening.
Don't want to ignore you over there. Any announcements from anybody? Randy? Yeah, let us know how it's going.
Okay, the early voting is going very well here. We had, our numbers aren't terribly high, but we're just rolling out, and it's going good, though. The open and close of polls are pretty easy. And I think in the future, hopefully it'll catch on, and folks will be able to vote early and get that done and over with, so. But it's a learning experience for everyone, but it hasn't been too bad, but.
Or the numbers.
Well, we had 12 today, we had 8 yesterday, we had 10 one day, we had 8 the other day, so it's not that high, but
No,
it's probably the amount, maybe we get 50 people, that'll be 50 people less than election day that'll come through the township hall, so. And then on that, I'm gonna put 2 signs down at the church Monday that'll just direct everyone here to vote, so. By consolidating precincts, that's what I have to do anyways, but, so anyone that voted at the church will now vote here, so. And
How many more days does this go on?
it goes to the next Sunday. 4 more days, so.
Oh, I think that's such a waste of money.
Yeah, well, I was telling Lynn today, I said, I figured out the hours for clerks. For a whole year, this is gonna be 300 more hours that a clerk has to put in for this early voting, so it's quite, if a clerk is full-time, it's, it's during their working hours, but for part-time clerks, it's gonna be a lot of hours they gotta put in.
The state reimburses you for that, right?
They're not reimbursing the clerk anything because it's part of his election duty. So I have a sneaky suspicion clerks are not going to be happy, and they're going to have to try to change the election law to compensate them for that. But as it stands right now, the early voting is part of the election duties, so clerks do not get any more compensation for it. And that's it.
We're doing our part.
And just in election day is next Tuesday, February 27th. Polls open at 7, close at 8. And onward we go.
Okay. Any other announcements? All right, manager's report.
Just a few things, and a lot of these are things that Lenny probably could have updated you on. All of your staff, as of today, has received CPR AED training. We have AEDs in all of our facilities now. In fact, this building has 2. There's one in the community room and one just outside the doors here. Let's hope we never have to use them. That's the whole point of these, is have them if you need them and hope you never do. We received the training as of today, so I think we'll all get a CPR certification card, which is really good. I think we all enjoyed the experience and hope we never have to use the training. Garbage carts, did everyone see the mock-up? This is the carts that you approved last month, red with a black lid. It's got our logo on the side in white, and it says trash only on the lid. We will get this out to the public on the back of the calendar when it's rollout time. That explains when we switch to the carts and when people have to start using them. One thing the public will have to realize is, once we switch to the carts, you're not going to be able to leave them in your garbage bag on side the road anymore. You're already not supposed to. They're supposed to be in a hard-sided container. Now we're providing it to you. Hopefully the wheels are big enough that you can get it out to the road on garbage day. I think they look good. They're Marquette Sentinel color. They are very clearly a different color from the recycling cart. They're very clearly a different color than the city of Marquette's trash carts. I think everyone will know that they're Marquette Township's carts. They are kind of the color of our hauler, but they will work whoever our hauler is long-term. They're the same size as the recycling carts, but we are ordering some larger ones for the bigger families that need a bigger cart, but they will have to pay a higher fee because it's based on tonnage. If you want to see it, we can pass it down.
But these are gonna be free, the regular ones are free. Not free, but they don't
Nothing's
have to
free.
pay, because you said
We're-
in.
Free to the
such
residents.
Purchasing them
extra
with
fee.
money that was previously collected from our ratepayers
Free to our
for a
residents.
landfill closure fee that we no longer need to maintain.
So they don't have to pay for this, but there is a fee if they wanna have the bigger one.
Garbage fee, so whatever that
The
fee will
cart's
be.
gonna be, the cart is going to be free regardless of size. It's the monthly rate you pay.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood that.
So if you
I
want a
thought we
bigger
were
cart,
just
that's
saying-
fine, but your garbage
Gotcha,
bill is going to be higher.
okay.
A proportional
That's
amount
fair.
by amount of gallons that the cart can hold.
That tipping fee.
Well,
I think
that's what
it's fair.
It's based on the tipping fee and the hauling contract, right? It's gotta get from your curbside to the landfill, so we gotta pay somebody to do that.
So
And those trucks aren't cheap either.
what happens to the people that, if they're not putting out a recycling cart, that means they're not recycling, so everything's in their trash. So now if they're not gonna use their trash container, and they just put out boxes with their trash in it, who manages that? Who's supposed to, cause I've seen it. So
They
I'm
won't
wondering-
pick it up.
Won't pick it up.
They won't
They're
pick it up.
picking it up,
Well, yeah, they are
They
today.
won't pick it up when
They-
we go to carts.
okay,
And that's what the customers will be notified of. It has to go in the cart. And if it overflows the cart by a little bit, they'll probably still dump it. If it overflows the cart where it falls on the ground when they go to tip it in the truck, they're probably not gonna take it. So that's where customers are gonna have to decide if that small cart is enough for them or not. You could get 2 small carts, or you could get 1 large cart. You can get whatever array of amount you want, but you're going to have to pay for it. Unless you want to take care of your garbage yourself, which means bringing it to the transfer station or the landfill, or wherever it is that you bring it to legally dispose of it, as opposed to littering it in the woods.
okay. Good, good
They
to know.
don't have a mini size. I'm sure some people are gonna ask, if they have a mini size for the households of 1. It's gonna be that,
The
that
small
or,
one is the mini size, it's the size of your recycling cart.
And you don't have to put it out every week. That's your choice.
right.
And you're going to get, whether you fill it up or not, you're going to have the same garbage bill just like you currently do.
Yeah, it's a service.
Yep.
Can we
The
get
only
it-
way your garbage bill changes is if you get multiple carts or a bigger cart.
Can we get a mattress in there?
Maybe
You
one of those
probably
purple
could, I
Just
just don't know
kidding,
if you wanna
just
go
kidding.
through the effort.
I had to use it.
And it might take multiple weeks to dispose of it.
Okay, good, good
Um,
for that.
Heritage Silos is still moving along. With any integration with SCADA, there's always challenges, and that's what they're dealing with now. Hopefully that'll all be straightened out soon. And we're not accepting ownership of either the sewer or water, and none of those buildings can get their water turned on until we own it. So the pressure is on. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll see that ownership step be ready for you to consider. It's either gonna be your next meeting or the meeting after, I would assume. Which will mean your attorney has more to report on. I know he already has those documents held in escrow, so the front end work's done. It's just a matter of finalizing that process. Lenny and I did receive an update on the water treatment plant acquisition based on 16% ownership. There's a number there. We're hoping to present it to city administration and make sure that we're on the same page as far as how the numbers were determined. if city administration seems to be okay with it, then we're gonna start seeing things move pretty quickly, because the debt that we plan on replacing is about to expire in the first quarter of next year. So we're kind of getting down to crunch time on taking some action and figuring out how we're gonna bond for it if we need to, whatever, so. That does include a significant upgrade project at both the Lincoln Pump House in the city and Cox Pump House in the township, and potentially the Northwoods Pump House in the township, as you heard Lenny say earlier. In order to do that, we're gonna have to have our water system modeling redone, because it hasn't been done in quite a while. You should be doing that every 5 years minimum anyway, and we're rapidly approaching 5 years that I've been here. Not quite yet, but it hasn't been done in my time here, so it has to be done anyway. That's pretty much all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Anything? Okay. Motions, Mr. Randy, please.
Okay, the consent agenda was approved as presented. The regular agenda was approved as presented. The third motion, we scheduled for the next agenda to schedule a work session for the 2024 priority goals, and that was approved. Fourth motion was to approve the Brightly software utility asset management, and that was approved. The fifth motion was to approve the IT switch upgrades. That was approved. And the sixth motion was to approve the best tasting water travel cost, and that was approved.
So for right now, the priority goals will be on the next, or scheduling a work session for the priority goals will be on the next agenda. Any other comments from anybody? Our next meeting's March 6th, next board meeting.
So I just am wondering if we can invite the school superintendent for Marquette Area Public Schools to come and give us an update about some things that are going. He came last year.
Yeah, was that last year? I was gonna say, he was just here.
I think it was last year, Lynn.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, we can look to make sure, but we'd have to get him on the agenda anyways. And the senior center will see if they can come in August again. We have a calendar that shows who came which months? No,
No,
not
but
yet.
I can, yeah,
Okay.
look at the packets. What else, anything? We need to go then. Dan,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
okay,
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 6:58, we are adjourned.